Okay, well here we are at the cemetery. This is the Catholic Cemetery, St. John the Baptist Cemetery in Perth. Where that truck is turning in way up there, see where it's going in, that's the Civitan Hall. And it was over there that the people were standing around in the parking lot where they saw the incident where the guy got picked up by the Black Shadow and thrown out in front of the train. The train tracks are right there. You can still see the telegraph wires that run along beside the road. Anyway, train tracks run right along there. There's the rail bed. Anyway, the reason I'm here, though, is, it's my family, but I see this one here. This fella here, it is Jim Canuel. I went to school with his younger brother, and he was killed on a construction site in 1984. In Ottawa. He was actually hit with a wrecking ball. He was just a young man, just in his early 20s, and killed dead anyway, just actually hit by a wrecking ball on a demolition site where he was working. Anyway, I went to school with his brother Chris, who was a little bit younger than he was. But there's somebody driving along in a Dodge. She sounds a little rattly. Kind of a rattly Dodge, hey? Okay, well, Francis Fournier, that was my grandpa's brother. And he was a contractor, actually. He built a lot of houses in the Perth area and stuff. He lived from 1905 to 1982. I remember when he passed away. It doesn't seem like that long ago, though. But this is my direct family here. This is my grandpa and my grandma, who were like a second set of parents to me. My grandpa, Arthur Shirley, November 1918 to February 1986. He actually passed away on Valentine's Day, February the 14th. Then we got my grandma, Mary Catherine Kerr. And she was from March 1919 to September 1988. And my cousin, Alan Henry Raymond, who was a little bit younger than me just by a few months. I grew up with him. I was born on July 1st, 68, and he was born in October of 68. And he passed on in April of 2014. Just from having lived a very hard life. He got involved with substance abuse when he was quite young, and it took its toll on him, you know. And then back here, we have my dad, who passed away just a couple weeks after my grandma did. June 8, 1937 to September 24th, 1988. So that's my dad anyway there. Yeah. Anyway, that crypt over there, my grandpa, I remember, told me a funny story about that. He was an electrician, and when he was young, he actually worked for the town of Perth as an electrician. And so he had to do it. That time in town, if you had any electrical issues in your house or any problems with an appliance or a lamp or anything in your house, you had to go through the town to have that repaired. So my grandpa had to go around and do all the electrical work. Basically, him and the other guys. It wasn't just him. There were others working there too. But anyway, one of the jobs my grandpa had to do when he was just a young electrician is he had to install electric lights in the vault. Now, for those too young to remember this, back before hydraulic equipment was commonplace, what they used to do is, if you passed away in the wintertime when the ground was frozen, they'd store your body in the vault. They would. Yeah. They'd store your body in the vault until spring when the ground thawed out, and then they would have a ceremony for you, you know. This is the old vault. Anyway, my grandpa had to go in here and install electric lights inside the vault. So he's in there by himself, and there were dead bodies stacked up, you know, waiting to be buried. And he didn't know that sometimes for a while after death, a dead body will release gas. He wasn't aware of that. That's a lock there to keep the door locked so nobody goes in there and steals the dead bodies. Anyway, you just never know, eh? People are strange. Anyway, basically, so he's in there, and he's in there, and he's working away, and you know, probably a little creeped out. You would be, you know, you're in there with the dead bodies, you're bound to be a little creeped out. And what does he hear? But he hears, "Brap!" You know, he was the only living one in there. Bear that in mind. He was the only living one in there. Oh my gosh, look at this. Somebody's stone got busted right off. Huh. Well, I hope that wasn't vandalism. And I hope that wherever it is, I hope that it's been, I hope that it's being taken care of. Like, I hope that they at least have the stone and they're going to put it back up, that it hasn't been stolen. It looks like this is the same plot here. So I'll just take a picture of it and possibly send this on to the cemetery just to say, and I'll show the vault here too, just to show where it is. I'll send them this just in case they're not aware that that's happened. But anyway, yeah. So the story goes anyway, he heard this big burp. Now, nobody in there should have been burping as far as he knew, other than him, because he was the only living person in there, and he didn't know that dead bodies do that sometimes. And so, my grandpa was a little freaked out. Suffice it to say, he did his wiring job as quickly as he could, and he got out of there. You know? He got right out of there. He did not want any part of whatever that was. And he just didn't realize that sometimes happens anyway. Now see, what I need to do, what I want to do, is I want to find my great-grandparents' stone, because it's a stone like this. It's one of these types. And the reason I want to find it is because my dad used to paint the black all in. You know, he used to do that to make it stand out, the lettering. And I would like to be able to do that, to come here and do that, because it hasn't been done since before he passed. And he's been gone since 1988, as you saw in the stone over there. And I know it's a stone like that, and it's somewhere on this end of the cemetery. And I used to know exactly where it was, too. But I don't anymore. I don't normally visit cemeteries. I prefer to remember people. When they were alive, and I think about the people that I miss all the time. I don't feel the need to come to a cemetery to remember them. I understand that's important to many people, and it's not me putting down anybody who feels that way. It's just that I don't feel that way. I don't find that there's anything really that draws me to this place, because I don't believe that the people are really here. I think it's just the shell that they inhabited while they were wandering up on the earth that's here. Anyway, I will need to find that stone, but it's going to be like looking for a needle in a haystack in this place. I'll tell you. My goodness, eh? Plus some of them are so faded you can't read them anymore. And hers may be like that by now. I haven't seen it in a very long time, so it may be that it is like that. I don't know. But, yeah, we'll see. I believe it was closer to an entrance, so I'm going to have a look up this way. I think it was somewhere in here. I do. I don't think this was it. It was one of these. It was similar to this. Similar to that. Let's see now. Alright. Okay. I don't know. These old stones get very weathered. That one I can't even read anymore. It looks like it says Noonan. So I don't think that's any connection. But anyway, we go over this way. Well, we'll go over to the next entrance and see here. Maybe it's over here. I would like to do that anyway. The last time my dad did it was just a few months before he died. And I actually gave him a trick that I knew of to make it last longer, because we had been painting numbers on rocks. When I worked at the Perth Museum, we had painted numbers on rocks. And, yeah, that's not it. We painted numbers because we had a mineral collection, huge mineral collection, and so we had painted numbers on rocks, because every artifact, whether it was a rock or anything else, had to have an identifying number. And what we did was we took clear nail polish and put that down as a base, and then we used black India ink with one of the old dip type pens, and we used that, and we dipped it in the ink, and we made our number. And then when that dried, we let dry between coats, you know. When that dried, then we went ahead and we put another coat of clear over top of it. So I suggested he do that, and as far as I know, that is what he did. But after all these years, that will be worn off. There's no way that's still there, you know. Anyway, that's it for now. I don't know where that stone is, but I will find it sooner or later, I guess. There's my truck there. I don't know what my dad would think of me driving a Dodge. He was more of a Ford man. He liked GM when he was young, and then he kind of switched to Ford. He never really cared for Chrysler products much, but still, I'd imagine he's happy for me that I have anything, because I haven't had anything for a very long time. So I'd imagine he would just say, well, good on you for having something, you know, even if it is a damn Dodge, you know. Of course, in his day, Dodges were known to be hard starting in the cold, and they were known to throw connecting rods and stuff, and so that's why he wasn't keen on Dodges anyway. That's it. I remember when our old Pontiac would break down, the 62 Pontiac. When I was a little boy, he had a 1962 Pontiac Parisienne sedan. We'd take that over to Jack Gamble's golf station. There's a Tim Hortons on the corner where the golf station used to be now, but we'd take it there. And Jack would lend him his car to drive. Well, his was in the shop being fixed. And Jack's car was a 1966 Plymouth Fury. And I remember my dad hated it. Just hated it with a passion. But yeah, whenever the Pontiac broke down. He was glad to have something to drive, but he really hated it when the Pontiac would break down, because then he'd have to drive that Plymouth for a while. He didn't like that car. But although when I was young, when I was a teenager, he did have a 1966 Dodge Polara for a while, but that was actually my stepmother's car. It was a car she had when they got together, so it wasn't a car that he really had by choice. It was a car that it kind of came with the woman, basically, is what it was. He got a woman, and with the woman came a Dodge. That's about it. Anyway, this guy's coming in here. I don't know where he thinks I'm going to go, but that's all right. All right, we'll talk to you later.